So just to remind everyone, this is being recorded and will be played back on YouTube like normally. Now, here's the chairman, Dr. Alan Cron.
Thank you. Just to open the meeting, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the October 29th, 2020 meeting.
So moved, Jared Valenzola.
Second, Dick
Second,
Phelps.
Julie.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr.
Perfect.
Chairman, you have to roll call. You can't just
I have
take,
to roll call?
you have to roll call every vote, yes. Sorry to rain
I
on
don't
that
have a
parade.
list of who's on the, I don't have a list of who's here.
I think they generally just use the tiles. I hate to rain on that parade, but I would hate for future votes to not count because we didn't follow it.
Trish Pierce,
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez, you're not voting, sorry. Doug,
Yes, yes.
thank you. Ms. Hackett,
Yes.
Mark Sham,
Yes.
Emily Davidson,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
where are you all? Julie Schaefer,
Yes.
Jill Maroney,
Yes.
Chris Bernica,
Yes.
Ashley Cutter.
Yeah.
Did I miss anyone?
Me, Dick Phelps.
Dick Phelps.
You also missed me, Jared Valenzola.
And Jared
and I- yes.
Valenzola.
Yes.
Dr. Klein, you missed me, Christine Flaherty, but I wasn't at the last meeting, so I have to abstain anyways.
Okay, thank you.
This chairing thing isn't as easy as it looks, is it, Dr. Cron?
Well, especially when I love the little Zoom,
Zoom is a trick.
the little Zoom photo booth that's about the size of an iPhone. You guys all look like little tiny people. Okay.
If I
here
were
we
you,
go.
I would take a quick second and write our names down, and then you have them. Just from one
I
chairman
will
to
do
another.
that.
If you go
Next,
to the bottom, you can actually click participants and it'll give you a list of who's in the meeting.
oh, I like it.
You just have to know who's a voting member and who's not. It doesn't
Yeah,
give
that I can figure out. Okay, that's what I'll use from here on out. We're good to go. Thank you. Invoice review. Sean, do you take that part?
All right, there we go. Invoice review. Similar to last month, and every month we sent this out. This is just a list of the invoices. We have PMA's invoice, which includes PM&C, our estimating consultant, SMMA's standard invoice, and they have a Brennan subconsultant invoice in there as well. And then Gatehouse Media is, they did the advertisements for the request for qualifications. So all of this gets billed through the project. Everything's on budget, everything's in order, nothing to report out of line, which is great. We do not need a vote or an approval here, but if there's any questions on any of the bills, I'm happy to take those.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Sean? Hearing none, we'll move on to number 4, phasing review.
Okay. So Lorraine, do you want to go through this or do you want me to? I can open my screen. Can people see
If
this?
you can open your screen, actually, Chris Racine is on here, so maybe Chris.
Oh, he's even better.
Yep, I'll just start, if you don't mind, Chris, just giving an overview. So after the last meeting, when we went through the construction schedule and we changed the occupancy date from the start of the school year 2022 to the start of right after Christmas break of 2023. That changes a little bit of the site phasing. Obviously, the building will be constructed. As designers and civil engineers, we need to, in the bid package, tell the contractor whereabouts on the site they can work during the various phases. It's critical during a time period when the Memorial Park School will be in occupancy, making sure we maintain parent drop-off, bus drop-off. But then we like to take advantage of what we call the summer slammer, where we'll actually take over the entire site, we'll move the fence, and do work outside of that fence for the 7 to 8 weeks. That is really truly what the summer period is. And then pull that fence back in again at the start of the next school year. So These diagrams are part of the bid package. They're critical that the contractors are aware that they own both the moving of the fence and the work limits and where they can work and where they can't. There are a couple of nuances as we went through this, just, you know, as the new building gets built and some of that roadway on Colonel Duffy Road Drive gets narrowed down, you know, making sure that we have flowing traffic. So we did have a meeting earlier on. I went through it with Dr. Cron and Mark Schaum, who are in agreement with our approach, but I think Chris, at a very high level, if you wouldn't mind just walking us through the phases, that would be helpful.
Sure. Do you want me to go over the dates as we go through each one quickly?
Sure.
Okay. So phase 1A, so this is from the notice to proceed through the end of the school year of 2021. So essentially the contractor will be, the first order of business will be to get up their construction fence. They're gonna start to work on the areas around the building as quickly as possible so that the temporary parking and temporary access routes that Lorraine just alluded to are constructed as quickly as possible. We've got notes just about the timing of when they're allowed to do that work outside the construction fence. So essentially the contractor will be, once they get back inside the fence, they'll be prepping, they'll be stripping topsoil, starting to get the building foundations prepared. Just prior to that, actually, they will be doing some utility work, relocating the existing drain lines that run from the high school, middle school campus through the site. Those lines will be relocated and new lines will be installed so that they can proceed with the building work. There's some, I think maybe this changed from previously, but this area in the south of the existing school is now being used by the contractor. Due to spatial constraints, we had to give that space over to the contractor. We've added some angled parking in the access drive to Reed Street. So we've basically swapped out some of the parking that was going to be south of the building into that access drive while still maintaining a safe pedestrian route from Reed Street.
That's good for that phase.
Yep. Okay, great. We can jump to, scroll down a little bit. Thank you. So phase 2A, phase 1B is the
Summer Slammer.
Yep, that Summer Slammer that Lorraine mentioned. So it starts as approximately July 1st, 2021 and continues to the end of the summer, which is the end of August, 2021. So in this period, there's a lot of work happening. The construction fence will be adjusted to expand the area that the contractor is allowed to work in. Essentially, the fence will be right up against that existing building. The contract will be continuing with the building preparation, the footing and foundation walls. They'll probably be potentially getting into the slab work at this point. The green areas you see here represent areas where the contractor will be doing significant utility work. So there'll be deep excavations. They'll be doing the large stream culvert that runs through the site. They'll be relocating that, as well as all of the new utilities around that, sewer, gas, some of the electrical work. The other big piece that will be happening in this phase is the intersection work at the Taunton Ave, Division Street, Duffy Way intersection. So that intersection will be closed down. We've coordinated that with Dave Taylor, the highway superintendent. So there will be detour signage placed at the proper locations in all of the adjacent streets. So this work, we felt that would be best to get this done at once instead of keeping it open and having a longer duration there. So the contractor will still have access into the site here. There's enough room for this intersection work to occur while maintaining access.
Next slide.
Yep. So now we're back into the start of the school year of 2020.
2021, 2022 school year.
Yep, that full year. So basically the limit of work is going to go back to what we had in the very first phase, essentially, maintaining access throughout the site for buses, staff and parents. The circulation hasn't really changed, except I failed to say that in the last phase, the previous phase, Duffy Way was getting realigned. So it's getting pushed out closer to this north property line. So that roadway will be in place as binder course. So the circulation is the same, it's just shifted up a little bit north now where Duffy Way has been completed. Ongoing building work, utility work around the building.
And the bus drop off will occur on Lower Reed Road, Lower Reed Street, and then we'll be using where that pink line is to come in. This is one of the conversations we had today with Dr. Cron. Just
Okay,
with limited turnaround and
I
getting
see.
everything in there,
okay,
keeping the, you know, the parent drop off inside the site over the striped islands, but keeping the buses out,
okay.
which is a benefit, I think, to the
I could
project.
just jump in here for one quick second also. The Memorial Park School for this coming summer will essentially be offline. So we will need to relocate, for example, Linda Maniglia and her staff to the high school for the summer. We'll need to move Jan Sheehan and her staff to the high school or middle school over the summer so that the construction company, or so that they have access to the building. The custodians will stay on site, but everyone else will be relocated.
That's correct.
Just wanted to make sure everyone knew that.
And just to add one other thing to that point is that the softball field it's currently slated to remain open during this construction. There'll be minimal parking, but the access to the field will only be from
Linden Street.
Linden Street from the south.
Okay, next phase,
So,
please, Sean.
yep.
Next,
Phase, yep, just, yeah, pan up. Yep,
here we go.
thank you.
So this will be the second summer slammer period. Again, the construction fence gets adjusted to be in front of the school, more space for the contractor. There'll be ongoing, continuing building work, continuing site utilities. They'll be starting to do more of the paving and curbing around the school, the walkways, the plazas, putting in light poles. And starting playground installation in this phase.
This is essentially about 2 months before substantial completion, so the building is weather tight. A lot of work going on inside the building at this point.
Yep, they'll be tying in the rest of the utilities if they haven't already. I think that's it. And again, at this phase, there'll be limited access to the existing school during that summer.
Next page, please, Sean.
So phase 1E, this is a short duration from the first day of school 2022 to mid-October of 2022, which is when it will be essentially substantially complete and turned over to the town to start moving in from the middle of October through the end of the year to have the school then opened for the new year. So during this period of time, the buses will also, as Lorraine mentioned in the previous phase, they'll be queuing on Reed Street, and the Reed Street access will be used by all students in this phase.
Yep.
So at this point now, this front area will be fully bindered and curbing will be in. So the parking spaces along the front will now be open, as well as the actual access. So these red arrows indicate how parents and staff will be entering. Parents will be dropping off and turning around in this loop. Staff can pull in and park at these spaces. We'll still have some spaces along Reed Street across the street that can continue to be utilized. So they're going to be finishing essentially the building will be completed in this phase. The south playground will be complete. The north playground will not be complete, and that's just due to the adjacency of the existing building to keep that operational. We just can't, the contractor, there isn't enough space to get into this area, as well as the loading dock. They will be loaming and seeding the areas around the building during this period. So hopefully things will be stabilized during that growing period. And then it'll be ready when school opens.
Thank you.
So phase 2A, the new school will be operating fully. This is the start of 2023 through the end of the school year 2023. So buses will have the ability to use the designated loop around the building. The access won't be 100% complete as far as what it will be under final conditions, but it will be fully accessible for buses. And we have also made an accommodation for tractor trailer trucks to get into this area as well during this time frame. Parents and staff will utilize this front access loop to drop off and pick up. And
and then we'll abate and demolish. We'll be abating and demolishing the existing building.
Yep.
And adding the fencing and the lighting at the softball field. So the contractor will use Lower Reed Street as the access point for that during that portion of construction.
yes, thank you. I was just looking at the rest of the parking, since we'll have limited parking in front, will be still from Reed Street, and we've created a temporary access path outside the fence line along the existing Reed Street access.
Yeah.
So there will be a little bit of a path to get in here for some of the remaining parking spaces. And as
But just as a
Lorraine mentioned,
reminder, when we open, sorry, Chris, when
No,
we open
keep
the school, it's a limited occupancy since it's only the Memorial Park. We're not bringing over the full 760 students. So it is limited, less amount of teachers, less amount of staff parking.
We
and less
haven't-
amount of-
We haven't talked about that very much, Lorraine.
Okay,
I'm cool with saying we can probably get in January, but I'm not, we need to discuss that, how we're
Okay.
gonna do it.
so
Okay?
we've based the drawings, I should say, we've based the drawings on that assumption,
Mhm.
which is almost the worst condition. So if we pull back from that, we'll just need to coordinate the drop-offs.
So as I'm looking at this, I have a question about the access area. So you're in this phase, there's only one way in and one way out, right,
Correct.
for vehicles.
Yep. The
Is that
buses
gonna
are
create a
the buses
traffic
are,
jam with the buses?
so it's no different than what you have today. You come down Lower Duffy Road, Colonel Duffy Road, and go back out. It's this time you're going around the building in the buses, and then you'll be merging with the parent drop-off in the green to go out. Right, Chris?
correct, yep.
Got it.
Because we can't get the access road out onto Lower Reed Street until we finish taking down the existing building.
Gotcha.
And Dr. Cron, if, as you mentioned, if Jefferson does move in, we're showing here, we've got about 54 spaces for staff. So if the full population is in school, I would imagine you'll have closer to your full staff at that point. So
Right.
we're just going to have to discuss the ability to use, some of the adjacent parking, which I understand is already in high demand in the middle school, high school area here.
Tennis courts,
The
parking
tennis courts. Yeah.
generally are half full at best, but.
Yep.
Yeah,
But then when parents pick up, Alan, it fills up. If we're regular capacity students, right now this year, because it's not full, but normally all of those spots, there's a line in the aisles because all the spots are full.
for pickup at the middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wondered, maybe might have to discuss seniors driving individually or something to that effect too. Because
Right.
that adds to, it's not just faculty, it's all the seniors,
We might have to
Parking.
really stagger the start times. a
right?
little more.
Get a little creative. And right now, the buses for MP go in, but the parents don't drop off in the same spot.
Right.
So we'll just have to be aware that buses and cars are all driving together, we'll have to get along.
Lorraine, can you just speak to the bus drop off? Is the bus drop off behind the building?
Yes.
So
yes.
when the buses come around, they're not stopping and competing with parents, so they're not going to clog it up. They're driving around and coming right out off-site, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the bus drop off, even in this phase, is always at the rear.
The red and the green is just for parents
It's coming in and going out. Yep,
coming in and going out, but the blue is for the buses.
correct.
So the buses will be exiting along this green path, but they won't be stopping. They do their pickups and drop offs back here, and then they drive around the building and exit out.
Correct.
For this phase, would it make more sense to do the parent drop off in the back so it's less cars on the street?
So I think obviously, honestly, we have sort of like 2 years here to figure that out. That's the good thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think this plan, because of the width of the roads, gives you that flexibility to be able to manipulate that in any temporary which way you want. We may need some temporary signage, which is not a big deal,
Right.
but you know, the width of the roads here is the biggest benefit to you, that allows you that flexibility.
Okay.
Lorraine, just two quick questions.
Yeah.
At what point does the athletic director have to look to find another softball site to play softball? And anyone like lacrosse who plays on the oval, at what point will he or she have to make that decision where that's being played?
Yep. So the softball, we actually talked about it a little bit earlier on today when we walked through this for the first time. But you know, obviously this phase is from the start of school year in January through the end of the school year in June. We wouldn't be doing any work in the frozen ground. So really, you know, we'd be looking at the springtime of 2023 to do that. So one of the comments we asked today is to understand what, you know, we can put a separate time limit on the specific softball field work. It's limited in nature, so it doesn't have to fall within this full phase if necessary. We can add some time. So if we can find out when the softball field would be preferred for use, we can look to see if the schedule will align for winter conditions to allow us to get through that.
I was just thinking, just in case they have to find another field in town, that's all.
Yep.
You can shut that down and go to Spring Street if there are 2 softball fields in the front, so.
Yep. For lacrosse, it's a little bit more challenging. As of basically March 1 of this year, that site is gone.
Okay. All right, I just want to give my athletic director a little heads up on some of the stuff, so.
Sure, thank you. And I think that takes us to, at the bottom of the page is just the final condition, but if we go to the Jefferson sheet that you have in there.
I thought we have one more phase.
Oh, sorry, do we?
Before final condition, yep.
Oh, sorry, pan up.
Oh, maybe, oh,
Nope.
thought we had phase 2B.
Go to the next sheet, please, Sean. There we go. This is phase 2B at the top of the sheet.
Yep.
Sorry. Which is the summer slammer.
Yep.
Again.
So at this point, the existing building will be down. They would have completed all of the demolition in the last phase. So they'll be basically working on the new synthetic turf field, the large parking lot, the utilities associated with the field and the parking lot, and, you know, depending on the actual schedule of the softball field, you know, potentially doing the lighting and the new fencing and backstop over there, and as well as the north playground at the new school. So, and this is occurring during the summer. So one other thing, the blue hatched area will be all of the pavement that had been done in the previous phases that was left as just a binder coat. The preference would be to pave all of the top coat at once, so you have a nice finish and you aren't ruining it throughout the rest of the project. So everything, including this intersection out in Division Street, Taunton Ave, will be final paved at that point and final striped. And
So
then,
sorry.
Nope,
So
I'm all set.
while we don't see, while the admin staff and other staff can remain in this building during that summer, there may be a coordination effort when the final top coat is going down to make sure they don't park. They may have to walk into the site on the sidewalks during that time frame and park at the middle school.
I think the arrows shown up on here might not need to be here. I think maybe they
Sure.
just got left over because there shouldn't be any buses in this juncture. during the summer, so.
Good point. Yep.
And then if you just scroll down to the next slide, that's ultimately the finished product at that point, so. So at the end of August 2023, the site should look like this.
Yeah.
It will look like this.
Thank you.
Lorraine, can I ask a quick question before you go on to Jefferson? I think it was on your very first page as it related to the initial road work at Division Street and Taunton
Right there.
Ave.
Yep.
Can you just tell me again, like, because I think that's going to be one of the first things that happens. What's the time frame again? When are we expecting that initial work? Because I plan on sending out the letters to the abutters soon, and I want to be prepared for conversations with them about that.
Can you just pan over, Sean? That's the first summer, correct? That's the summer of 21.
Yep.
So this is from the end of the school year, so basically June 30th of 2021 until the start of the 2021-2022 school year. So that's summer, next summer.
All right. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
And Doug, we do have a detour plan that we could send to you if it's at all helpful to, you know, if you're going to give any information to the abutters about where they're going to be going. It's mostly going to impact people just trying to get to the high school. And obviously people trying to get to through there, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm most concerned with is like the screen that you're at right now, the area with the hash marks in red. The property on the right-hand side, they're going to lose a little bit of what they think is their lawn and yard, but it's not going to really impact them that much. But it's the house on the left side of the intersection where they paved onto town property and are using part of the town road layout as their driveway. They're going to lose some parking. Yep. So that's who I'm most concerned with. So I just wanted to make sure I knew when I sent it out when the work would happen. So that's helpful. Thanks. But if you could send me the detour plan, that'd be good to have too.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. So just if you go to the last sheet, Sean, please. And we'll be creating another phase for Jefferson, which is for bringing the topsoil over. So just to explain, like this is a net export project. In other words, we are exporting more material from the existing Memorial Park site than we need. It costs money to take soil off and dispose of it. And then at Jefferson, we need soil when we tear down that building. We need materials to fill the holes from the foundations and fill the hole from the basement. And so it will cost money of the project to import that material. So our goal is to export some of that material and stockpile it at Jefferson. We'll stabilize it, fence it, and leave it there so that it's available for use for filling that hole. And therefore you're not paying to dispose of it from one site and paying to import it for another site. But this is pretty simple. Just right now it's planned for starting at the summer of 2023 once the school is empty. If it empties before that, we can accelerate that schedule and move that up. But it would occur, we've estimated it would take about 4 months between the demolition, the abatement, the demolition, and some rough grading and seeding of that area. And it's very limited in, it's really right up against the building, leaving the existing playground and basketball court, the existing field. But that particular site will be off limits to use that field during that time frame. So that's another area, Chris, if that field is scheduled, that should be identified.
Okay, so this baseball field, the town will not have use of it? Okay.
Not during the abatement and demolition. It's too tight coming in and out.
Sure. And then the other phase that Lorraine mentioned that we are adding will be just showing that these stockpiles could be coming in as early as the start of the project once they start work at Memorial Park. So we would just these areas where you see the brown soil stockpiles, those would be the only areas that would be accessible and fenced in for the contractor. And I think we do want to just discuss a little bit at some point about when they're allowed to get to these piles, if it's going to be just during the day when it's not pick up and drop off time, or if they have to have scheduled days or times when they can come in specifically to unload soil.
I think it's during the first summer, Chris. It would need to be during the first summer.
Okay. Yeah, they should have all the material that they want to get to this site in that first summer, so.
Yep.
Good point.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, these are part of the contract documents. It's really important that the contractors understand the sequencing. Moving the fence has costs. Understanding when they can do things, they just need to factor that in for their to their schedule, for their staffing needs, and for access around the site. So these documents will be part of that, and we can improve them and adjust and move the dates closer if that helps. This is, as I said, the worst case scenario, so this draws it out the longest time frame. If we tighten up on that and move more people into Memorial Park when it opens, that will just shorten that time frame and should help that. Any questions on the phasing? Any other questions on the phasing?
Okay,
Thank
we
you.
don't need a vote. Do we need a vote on that,
No,
Sean or anybody? No?
no.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Do you need me for anything else?
Nope, you're good. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, guys. Take
Thanks,
care. Have a
guys.
nice holiday.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
MSBA 90% comment review.
So as we reported in the past, we've received our comments back on our 90% submission to the MSBA. There's nothing in there that leads us to any concern. So we're just going through and providing some of the comments, tightening up the documents, making some edits as they've requested. Lorraine, you can chime in if you want to give any other information, but there's really nothing of substance, and we feel really good about the package, and we feel really good about the 100%.
Yeah, I mean, the comments, everything just needs to be responded to in the comments. So it's not another submission. We need to do 100%, which is good. And most of them are just pro forma, comments that they typically put on there. So we're very happy with the response.
Great. Does that require a vote?
No.
I don't think so. Any questions or comments about the MSBA 90% review? Okay, hearing none.
Sorry, real quick. Were these distributed in a previous email or?
No, we typically field the comments, field the questions, and then send them out with our responses.
All right. Just one of those things I'd be curious to see, I guess.
Yeah, I can send them over to you.
Really no big deal, just kind of curious. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Pre-qualification review, number 6.
All right. So we had a meeting today with our pre-qualification committee. We've been reviewing the packages that were submitted to us. We are happy to report that we had 9 general contractors and 115 filed sub-bid contractors. So these are the contractors that submitted their qualifications, and if they're approved and pre-qualified, they're going to be allowed to bid the project. After the meeting, we have all 9 general contractors we determined are qualified. We've got some great contractors and great, so there should be some good competition for Rockland in this project. Out of the 115 filed sub-bid contractors, right now we have 98 that we've determined are pre-qualified. We have 5 other contractors that we're just waiting on some additional references to come in for them. And if the references come in positive, they will also be pre-qualified for the project. So that's going to leave our filed sub-bids somewhere around the 103 trade contractors out of the 115. So that would be 12 contractors that would not meet the requirements. Most of the reasons are either they're just not big enough. They're a smaller contractor that's putting in a qualification for this project, and based on their similar project experience, it's out of their league. We don't want to be a guinea pig for them on a bigger project. They don't meet the requirements that were listed in the RFQ. Because of that, they don't have similar project experience. So one of the other reasons would be their reference checks. If they came back, either they didn't come back at all, or in some cases, contractors provided references that were unreachable. In those instances, we would not qualify the contractor. We always are concerned when a contractor can't give us 3 references from recent projects to call in and make sure that they're a good contractor. So anytime we get no responses, or anytime we get emails that are just immediately returned as non-working email addresses, that throws a red flag, and it does not meet the requirements of our selection process. One of the other contractors, one contractor submitted in 3 different trades. So them not being qualified is really, it counts as 3 different units. And the reason is they put in the same qualification package for each one. So fire protection, HVAC and plumbing, they submitted the same exact package. So we have no way of delineating which projects they were the plumber on, which projects are the HVAC contractor on, and which project they were the fire protection contractor on. And we are not required to go through and pull apart their request for qualifications to try to figure this out. It's their responsibility to clearly provide a package of qualifications within the divisions. So in that case, the contractor would not be qualified because they just simply submitted the same package 3 times, and we can't tell which job they're trying to submit on and get qualified for. So that would make them fail our qualification process, and they wouldn't be qualified. But that being said, the contractors that we have qualified and the ones that we expect through the reference checks, just getting those a couple extra references to come through, are qualified. We've got a good field of contractors. We have good coverage in each of the divisions, meaning that in all but one division, we have more than 4 trade contractors. In one of the division, we have 4. One of them, we have 3. So we feel really good about not only the list of contractors, but the volume of contractors we're getting. It usually leads to good competition, and which leads to good pricing. So we're very happy where we're at. One of the qualifications is on the elevators, we only received 2 elevator contractors. So we are required to resolicit. The contractors that already submitted do not have to resubmit, but we have to go through the process again of just advertising. We're not going to use Project Dog for this one. We're just going to, they'll email me or PMA's Rockland team. They'll ask for the package and then we'll send it to them. I actually don't anticipate any other elevator contractors submitting a package, but we are required by statute to resolicit. So we're going to go through that process, re-advertise. We've already posted it for the Central Register. We just need to put the newspaper ad in and the combis. And if no other contractors submit, we are allowed to continue with the 2 contractors we have. So all in all, it was a pretty good qualification process. We're very happy with the amount of subs we have and the quality of the subs, and we're hoping that this turns into some really good pricing and some really good contractors and a really good project.
Excellent. Okay. Hearing nothing more under pre-qualification review, moving on to number 7, HVAC upgrade option discussion. Sean?
So I'll just give it a quick preference before we turn it over to Chase. So SMMA has been looking at, and they do a lot of design work, obviously, and they're a big company. And I think as part of the COVID concerns and about building air quality and overall health inside of buildings, they've been doing a lot of research on what you can do to make buildings safer, what we can add into buildings to make it more COVID resistant. So they've gone through and done an exercise just to show what is already in the building and then what could potentially be added if the town wanted to add those items. And they provided a memo, which I emailed out. So Chase, if you want to start running through that stuff, if it's all right with you, Alan, we can turn it over to Chase.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So for those of you that haven't talked enough about COVID, we want to just talk a little bit more. So with the memo, we decided to lay it out in kind of 3 different areas, talking about the system we've already designed, about operational changes that can be made, and then about capital measures. And so just so you're informed, the idea of what we've already designed in the system is that we have 100% outside air for the entire building. And this makes it so that all the classrooms are getting air directly from the outside through the energy recovery unit. This is good for not cross-contaminating spaces and keeping things where they are. And also have been using MERV 13 filters, which are what has been recommended by ASHRAE for buildings. The next aspect is needlepoint ionization. This is something we've added to the energy recovery units as well. And this is a technology that puts in ions to the air that helps to inactivate or kill bacteria and other viruses. At this point, it has not been specifically tested against COVID, but has been tested against other viruses and things of that nature, and shown to be effective. The next thing we've done is give the classrooms operable windows. This helps give teachers more control of their classrooms and the ability to increase the ventilation, weather permitting. We've also positively pressurized spaces. This helps to make it so that the air is not cross-contaminating back in, but kind of pushing out of the classrooms and other occupied spaces. And we've also have exhaust for the nurses area so that if someone is going into the nurses area, that air isn't going out back into other spaces. And the last thing we've designed into the system is just standard temperature and humidity control, keeping, especially in the summer, keeping to 50% humidity. Data has been showing that keeping things in the standard HVAC temperature zones has been helpful. So that's the currently designed system. Talking about operational recommendations, something that can be done. Now, we aren't putting these in automatically, partially because this building is going to be built 2 years from now. And I think we all hope that the current COVID adventure is come to a close. But we also want you to understand that things may happen in the future that would make it so that putting these operational recommendations into effect could be reasonable. And so ASHRAE has been recommending that you start your HVAC system about 2 hours before the building opens and then run it for 2 additional hours. This is just to kind of do an additional purge of the building, and it's called building flush out. Another one that we can do is adjusting the CO2 levels for the demand control. And this would just help to produce or to push more outside air in faster when rooms are occupied. The next one is replacing filters more frequently. I chatted with Mark and I know he's already doing things to replace the filters, but this is just a note to replace the filters when the static pressure is doubled. Which will be alarmed in the BMS. And then just verification and calibration of the equipment. Doing that periodically helps to ensure the units are functioning as they were designed. So the last thing to talk about is the capital measures. And these are potential things that have been recommended as options. And one thing is changing the return air filter in the DOAS system, currently using a MERV 8 filter on the return, changing that up to a MERV 13. This is something that would help protect the contaminants, put them into the filters on the way out. The next one, and this is the one that I think is most interesting from a capital measure standpoint, is providing UV light in the classrooms. And we could do this via the ceiling fans by adding a upper room filtration system. This helps to provide UV in the classrooms that makes it so that each classroom is getting a treatment that kills bacteria and viral items. Similar to that would be providing portable HEPA and UV units. This is something that could be considered after construction. And you can just roll a unit into a room and provide that kind of filtration. And then the next two are substantially more expensive. One is looking at humidification. This is providing humidification to 40 or 50% in the winter. And then also looking at the nurses suite, making the nurses suite more like a hospital nurses suite. These both involve substantial space and cost implications. The portable HEPA units have one cost estimate in from a manufacturer that says they'll cost about $2,500 each. So however many you would want, it would be $2,500 per portable unit. The UVC in the classroom fans, that looks like it's only about $500 per classroom, which would be about $15,000 for the entire school. And then the return air filter, it's somewhere between a capital measure and a operational thing, kind of looking at probably an additional $50 a month. So with that, I suppose to address the last part, energy performance. Our sustainability team did energy modeling both on the building and then with the COVID measures, and found that the savings reduction in energy would be 4% and cost related 3%.
Can you scroll up, Sean, please? Thanks.
This is just to say that by running the system longer, it will use more energy, and just want to make sure that you are aware that there would be more energy getting used with those things. So they wouldn't be, the operational things wouldn't be things you would immediately see, but it would be something you could see in your utility bills. So with that, does anyone have any questions?
No, I would like to point out that we've had kids in the building now since September in all 5 of our buildings, including 2 that we're going to demolish and close. And we have yet to find evidence of transmission of the COVID virus within school. So I'm assuming that with a brand new building, similar to the middle school and high school, but especially the middle school, that we are already going to be looking at an HVAC system and an air quality that is far higher than we have right now in even our newest schools. So I just want to sort of set the table with that.
Thank you, Alan. That is correct. This system will be far beneficial above obviously what you experienced today in Jefferson, Memorial, Arrest, and even what you have at the middle and high. We just felt as designers, there's so much conversation in the design community about what our built environment can do and are there ways that we can help, that we felt it was important to bring this to your attention. As Chase mentioned, there are operational changes you can make that have no capital improvements, but if there are any of the capital changes that you'd like made, we'd need to include those within the bid documents. And we are not soliciting a recommendation, so if nobody has one, we're comfortable moving on. We just didn't want to, it would be more expensive to add them in the future, so.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Hearing
Thank you,
nothing.
Chase.
I just think
Go ahead.
I just have a comment. I just think that with the operational recommendations and the design system that is already in place, that I don't really see, I don't think it's necessary to do capital improvements at this point. I think, like Alan has said, that we've had no COVID cases, knock on wood, in the school, and the air filters and air system is not that great compared to the others. And this is going to be so much better, but obviously I'm not an expert on this. So I don't know if like Mark or anybody has a comment about it.
Yeah, if you look at the very beginning, when they talk about the features, the design of the system, the way it's designed already, it's pretty well designed, obviously. And when you're all correct, it is a much improved system that what we have right now. Everything else that's recommended is almost like hospital grade. If we're doing something that was more intended for a hospital. By far, I think we have recommendations how to operate the system, and the actual system itself, operative windows, ceiling fans. It's definitely a much improved system. I think we'll be totally 100% fine.
Great. Okay, hearing nothing, shall we move on?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Chase.
Number 8, final interior colors and carpet selection.
Thank you. So as we work through design and we continue to evolve the design, the environmental graphic design, and we start to hone in on materials. One thing I think that our interior designers had said to everyone when we were doing our focus groups is, as you move through, carpets get discontinued, flooring types get discontinued. So we're always going to be looking back at that. And we knew that when we left off with the second interior focus group meeting, that there was still some need to look at the carpet in particular. So I have a very short slide deck that I'm willing, if I can share, that I will go through, and Jem Battershall is here with us. just to take you through. Did I share it already? No. Where am I? Hang on a second. To take us through what they are. Apologize. 1 second. Can everyone see that? Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Jen. Thank you.
So as Lorraine mentioned, we presented carpets back in, I believe, design development, and the recommendation was that we come back with some other options. So the carpet that was originally proposed is shown on the left. I'm sure you remember that. And so we took another look at that based on how design has progressed over the past few months, and we came up with some new suggestions, which are shown on the right. So the top left-hand corner on the right, we're proposing that for the reception conference room area. So that's a large scale pattern that has some actual nice sort of modular pattern through it, and with a variation of color. So there are some blue stripes, gray, light gray, and minimal white stripes. And in a large piece, I think it works really well in that open space. Below that, we're proposing a more neutral carpet, which has a linear look in the offices that also has some blue stripes and gray stripes, a little less subtle and less pattern. Top right is what we presented to you in our Enscape walkthrough when we walked you through the school in that sort of fly-through presentation. And we'll show you an image of that in a rendering in another couple slides. And then the bottom right-hand corner is the Media Center accent carpet, which is a lighter version of what's shown in the top.
And as Jen mentioned, I think it's hard to see these on the screen, so she does have some images to show you in context. But first, I think we're going to update the finishes, right, Jen?
So just to we haven't seen this finished board in quite a while, actually. So we presented some finishes to you in the beginning of design development and then CD phase, but we wanted to bring this in front of you again to show you what is actually included in the project and what you saw during the walkthrough presentation a few weeks ago. So with that, we are now showing the carpets that we're proposing tonight, which are on the left, along with the accent paints and the neutral color paints in the middle. And if you remember, primarily the school is going to be a neutral color. It's a neutral palette, but we're going to have subtle bright accent points. I think you remember in the walkthrough, we have some signage that the neighborhoods have different names per different neighborhood, both on the first and second floor. So that would be a pop of color, and we'll have some color in the floor, some stripes, and some areas will have bright accent colors. So I just wanted to remind you of the scale of where we're using color and how it will be used. And then the top right-hand corner is the rubber flooring. So primarily the flooring will be the neutral off-white on the right, and then the accent colors are the orange, the green, and the blue and the yellow. The porcelain wall tile is a neutral color. It's the off-white modular tile, which is a large format tile. Below that, we have quarry tile, which is in the kitchen area. Next to that is walk-off mats at all vestibules, which are carpet tiles. The finishes in the platform and any millwork throughout. That's the wood stain finish below. In the center, restroom tiles are going to be neutral, off-white with some accent stripes, which are blue, yellow, green, and gray. And then we have some rooms that require acoustical wall panels, and we have the colors in the bottom right-hand corner. So all of these colors you saw during the walkthrough. And just a reminder of what the media center looks like and the carpet that we're proposing there, which is a medium gray carpet that is linear. So you can see this at the the entry into the media center, where we have the circulation desk right outside of the makerspace. And then this is standing at the circulation desk a little bit closer, looking into the classroom area on the right. And then we have the window seats on the left, which will be painted out the fun accent colors. And this slide is showing you the back of the media center looking towards the makerspace. You can see the classroom area on the left and the difference in carpet that mimics what's happening in the ceiling with the change in ceiling material. And that's it for the interior design update.
Very nice.
Yeah, it looks great. I know the carpet's a little simpler, but I think it will be timeless compared to the design carpet.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Any other comments or questions?
I agree with Emily. I think it looks great and it will last long. Sort of less mesmerizing. It looks more neutral. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Okay. Finally, next steps. Sean, anything you want us to be thinking about before the next meeting?
Well, one is we should probably figure out a schedule for the next meeting. I know we have the holidays coming up and it's going to get a little bit crazy with people traveling and maybe not traveling, but trying to take some time with their families. As far as our process goes, next week, we're going to respond to those 90% comments to the MSBA. We're going to submit probably December 14th, December 15th, sometime around then, our 100% to the MSBA. There is no review period with them. It's just a final submission for their records. And we will be sending out our pre-qualified bidders either tomorrow or Monday. We'll send out notifying all the bidders who's pre-qualified. If we get any protests from any people who weren't qualified, we'll deal with that over the next couple of weeks. And our trade bid right now is scheduled to start on January 6th. And our GC bid starts the same day. And then our closing dates for those are about a month. So February 2nd for the trade bids. And then we're looking for our GC bid finals mid-February. And then start a construction late March. So I think everything's lined up to hit those dates. I don't really see any challenges with hitting them. So it's been a lot of work to get here, and we get a couple more I's to dot and T's to cross to get everything in order for the bidding. And then once those packages hit the street on January 6th, we'll field questions from any filed subbid or from general contractors. We'll answer those questions and we'll accept their bids, and we will give a notice to proceed to the lowest priced qualified contractor.
Excellent. So do you want to meet in January? Or do you want to push it off? Do we need a meeting in January?
I mean, we should probably do one a month anyway, just if for nothing else for invoicing to make sure that, and we can give a status of, we're not going to know who's going to give us bids until February, but we can update on I guess anything else. It'd probably be a very short meeting, and it might be just to update on the status of who pulled the trade packages out of the pre-qualified. We could tell you who downloaded the packages, and then we can go through our invoicing, and then anything else, any other questions we have, if anything arises out of the early bid questions that we need the committee's input on, we can certainly bring those up with the committee. So let's see.
21st is in the calendar already.
21st, is that sound good for everyone? That's a Thursday.
Okay.
January, right?
Yes.
Okay.
To me,
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
January what?
21st.
21.
Okay. Sounds good. 4 o'clock. Okay, seeing nothing else on the agenda, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Chris Bernica,
Yes.
Emily Davidson,
Yes.
Dick Phelps,
Yes.
Christine Flaherty,
Yes.
Jane Hackett,
Yes.
Jill Maroney.
Yes.
Please don't leave in the middle of it because you're screwing up the order. Let me see here. Where did I leave off? Mark Sham,
Yes.
Trish Pierce,
Yes.
Ashley Cutter,
Yes.
Doug Lapp,
Yes.
Emily Davidson,
Yes. Sorry.
Jill Maroney.
Yes, you going around again.
I am. Tim Haynes,
Yes.
Trish Pierce.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there anyone whose name I did not call?
This is way more fun when you do it, Alan.
You only called my name once.
You didn't call mine at all.
Sorry, Jared Valenzola. Did I call your name?
I think he's gone.
He's
You
gone.
forgot
Okay,
Julie,
beautiful. I guess that's a yes. Okay,
You missed-
thank you
you
very
missed
much,
Julie.
everyone.
Julie says yes too.
Thank you, Julie.
Merry
Happy
Christmas,
Christmas, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
See y'all next year.
Bye.
You.